Hi guys, in this video I'm going to show you how we can use the align tools that pop up as soon as we select a range of objects. So more than one object, we start having align as well as pathfinder that I've shown you in other tutorials. You might want to use this if you have lots of objects that you want to neatly arrange, and that could be a stand of trees, so these are all kind of just thrown in there higgledy-piggledy, or it might be text boxes. I've used this a lot when it comes to creating objects for the laser cutter, when it comes to creating things like things that contain text. So I've made my wedding invitations and they had all the text aligned down the center and evenly distributed just to kind of pad it out. So you can use this instead of trying to eyeball and evenly space out. You can use this just to do it in a few clicks. So over on the right, when you have multiple objects selected, that's very important. Once you have multiple objects selected, up pop these align options, and under these three dots below that are distribute. But I prefer to have a separate window, so go window, align, and you can see they all pop up here. So let's say we want to try and have them lined up. So I will go align vertically, so up and down, we want them all to be the same vertical position, and so we can align the centers, and because they're all the same shape, they also should align they're all exact the same, they're just clones. The top and bottom as well as the centers will all line up. Now if you had different size shapes, when you align centers, you can see it aligns the centers of those objects as opposed to the top or the bottom. So you can play around with, depending on what you have, whichever you might need. So the next thing we can do is distribute. So the line down, again, we can distribute the centers, and what it will do is those center objects, the center of each object, the spacing between them will be the same. Now this gets a bit hairy when you have really large objects and different sized objects, because I'll leave that small, because the centers being evenly distributed still might not work for you. Okay, so if we were to space it out, and the way it distributes is that outside object, the two outside objects on whichever extremes you're using. So if we're going horizontal, left to right, it's going to take that's the most left and that's the most right, and it's going to put everything else evenly distributed in the middle. So if we slide that out and do that again, evenly distribute, you can see it's going to space it out evenly between the outer two most objects. So if you've got different sizes of objects, maybe that's what you can do. But when I've had objects like this, so if we just go vertical, I'm like, I don't want them to overlap. So this distribute spacing, what it actually does is spaces, it evenly distributes the space between each objects. So if you have different sizes, it's going to play around with that. Okay, so that's quite useful if you're having trouble with things overlapping because they're different sizes. If they're all the same, so if I just delete those two, if they're all the same, you don't really have an issue. And so once we have them lined up, I might just go, let's just double that up and let's have them overlapping, because it's a stand of trees. I might go, that does look kind of cool having them stacked up and down, but we might go, let's evenly distribute them, and let's just go Control G to make a group, same as right click group, and then I'm just going to go Alt. I'm just going to layer them up, make a whole bunch of them, and what we can do is we can align centers and we can distribute that way, and away we go. Now what you may notice is because I copied them up, it actually put them all on top, and so that's why we can see our tree trunks, and that doesn't really make sense. So I'm just going to go and Control Shift. I'm going to send them all to the back, and then I'm going to send that to the back, and then I'm going to send this one, bring this to the front. I'm just going to go down the row, and because they're in groups, it makes it really easy to do this. I'm just going to organize them to bring them to the back, and then because that's quite cool, but I might go every second one. I might just slide it, hold down Shift and a couple clicks to the left, and all of a sudden I've got this uniform kind of pattern that does really work out. So using the align and distribute is very powerful to make a uniform pattern, as well as just the duplicate tool is very useful. Thanks for watching.